I'm a traditionalist, so it's one of those questions I've asked. I don't know what the right answer is, but I see UT San Diego, San Diego Union Tribune, so it's going to be on the table, and you're going to better inform us, and our customers better inform us. But I'm a traditionalist. I think brands mean something today. Storied institutions. I mean, I will call out a couple of our brethren in the news and information business. When TV anchors parachute into peril, and nothing happens, and there are humans involved, of course, or when other organizations chronicle turbulent times in college and they're in error and they do something wrong, we can't countenance that. And our brands endure. The San Diego Union Tribune for 146 years has been that trusted partner for San Diego, and I'd like to reopen that for conversation, and you'll all better inform us as to what the right answer is. Sir?
We've heard that the deal doesn't involve the real estate, so what's the plan for this building and going forward? Do you have a lease?
The deal does not involve the real estate. We're not buying any real estate. Mr. Manchester is keeping the real estate, so we will be moving to new grounds. We are just announcing this today, so we will be somewhere nearby. And Jeff and the team down here are going to figure out where that should be.
And what's the time frame?
The time frame on the move will be sometime. We've signed a year lease on the premise, so sometime between now and a year from now we'll be in new quarters. I'd like to do that sooner rather than later, but we need to find the right place and make sure it works.
So I guess the printing of the paper will be moved up to your LA plant.
The question is, what about the printing of the paper? We haven't arrived at any final decisions, but Mr. Manchester is keeping the facility, so we're going to have to find some place to print. It's logical to think we might do it in Los Angeles, but we still have to get to the point where we own the business, can look at it carefully, and make sure that's the right decision for the customers and for the people who work here.
What is your point of view of the Latino community? I'm the editor of the Spanish publication, so I wanted to know what is your point of view of the Hispanic publication?
So the question is, what's my point of view about the Hispanic publication? I like to say, and I'm very proud to be part of Los Angeles, which is the most diverse big city in our country. And we celebrate that diversity. We celebrate it through our own Spanish language publication, Hoy. We celebrate it through stories in the LA Times itself on the diversity which makes Los Angeles great. And I'm assuming we'll continue to do the same thing here. There may be some benefit in collaboration. We're doing some very interesting things to better or more fully explore the conversation on race, diversity, and multiculturalism in the U.S. We're launching something called Emerging Us, which will attempt to chronicle that. That content is going to run in the LA Times. It's going to run in Hawaii. It may be appropriate for your readers, it may not. You're going to help us decide that. But we're very committed to not only take the journalism we have and share it with the next generation, we need to do a better job of sharing it with all the different communities and constituencies that make up San Diego today. Sir?
Do you anticipate layoffs?
Do I anticipate layoffs? Yes. There's shared strength. We're going to try to take the best people for the best role from either organization, but there are some things we can be more efficient at together. And there'll be places where we redirect resource and hire people. There'll be people we added. There are areas we have to invest. There are things we have to do to move forward. But on a net basis, there will be fewer people than there are today. Family. In the newsroom, do I imagine people reapplying for their jobs? Well, I sure hope not. You put out a great product today. I had all that time when the lawyers were running up their desks to look at it, and it's a very good product. So my anticipation is it's going to be more about talking about collaboration, maybe some reassignments as people say, okay, we got too many people doing that. Maybe we should shift that resource. Maybe we need to cover this differently. That type of conversation, but if your leadership team are comfortable with the job being done and the team doing it, we're not going to start from ground zero and say reapply. You're doing a great job already. We just want to make sure you got the tools you need to do a great job, and if there's some collaboration that can help you, we're going to try to bring that to the table.
Yeah, really, who would make you do something like that?
What is the plan
So the plan on how separate the newsrooms stay, yes, there will be a separate publisher for each, and I happen to be publisher of each. There will be separate editor, managing editor of each. They have distinct voices, we want to maintain that. But as I noted, we've never taken two A's and tried to see where the shared strength is. So one of the things that will happen very soon is the editor from Los Angeles, Devan Maharaj, and a couple of his team will come down and sit with Jeff and the rest of the team here and say, okay, where do we think we could collaborate? Where could we do a better job? Where could we shift resource? But we've never had two A's come together. So we want to preserve strengths, preserve that independence, but there are areas where I can see good collaboration, and we shouldn't necessarily do the same thing. You know, we're covering the drought. You're covering the drought. We should have those teams talk and say, okay, how do we share here? How do we do more good, explanatory, 1,000-word plus, put resource in there? How do we take care of the what happened in 100 words? And my guess is those drought teams working together do a better job at that than they would separately.
You know Devon, don't you? So, yeah, there's a lot of connections.
Yeah.
You mentioned you wanted to preserve the editorial integrity and voice. What about the op-ed voice?
The question is preserving editorial independence and integrity, and how does that extend to the op-ed side? The op-ed side, I check my politics and my opinions at the door. I have a view which is none of the hundreds of thousands of subscribers or millions of readers did that with the intention of seeing what Austin Beutner has to say about anything. So I check my politics and my opinions at the door. Now I think we have a responsibility to tell our news based on fact. Fact. We start with the facts, we tell stories accurately, in a timely manner. That's what we should be doing. On the opinion side, I look at it and say we should have a diversity of voices, reflective of the community in which we live and San Diegans live. But I think we can collectively raise our game. So we're doing a little project as a test at the Los Angeles Times. We're going to give our local electeds report cards. Now, that doesn't mean a thumbs up, thumbs down. We've done enough of that. But again, I got 4 teenagers, and a good report card, I see all kinds of different report cards. The good ones, not the grades, but the good ones that inform me dig deeper. They start with a definition of what are you trying to do here? So what is this person's responsibilities, or what should they be doing in the job? You can take it a step further and say, what can you measure? Sometimes you can't measure what's important, sometimes you can. So what can you measure and what can't you measure? Then where do we look to data or information to inform our judgment? Now, if we share all that with our readers, we've advanced the conversation. They may not even care whether we think thumbs up, thumbs down. And I hope the effort here can become more of that too. But you're not looking at the new publisher who's going to be handwriting on the breakfast table each morning his views on anything. I want to make sure we have an independent team who reflect the diversity of voice and opinion in this community, consistent with the values and so on in San Diego.